Welcome back to Twin Chat. We are excited you are here to join us as we have real conversations with real people focusing on well-being. Hi, I'm Kenan McCumber, mom of two and teacher living in Bend, Oregon.
And hi, I'm Steph Kafori, mom of three, life coach living in sunny Hawaii. And we are so excited to have Barkley. Hi, Barkley.
Yay!
So, Barkley Hope Hedinger is one of our dearest friends. We first met in the third grade, and we have had many adventures over our 43 years together. And some of those I'm sure will come out in this episode. Some of them, namely, being Barkley and I hitchhiking in Colorado and freaking out. Anyway, we'll come back to that maybe. So let me tell you a little bit about Barkley. Barkley studied fashion design in London and opened 2 boutiques in Santa Monica. She sold her stores and moved to Portland, where she works in her family business, raises 2 boys, and is an Ironman. Yes, she's that good that she is an Ironman. And she's actually competed in my hometown in Kona in Ironman Worlds. So that's pretty darn impressive. So today we want to talk to Barkley about her struggle with anorexia as a teenager and how that shaped the woman she is today.
Barkley, welcome, welcome. It is so good to have you here. And I'm also so thrilled because Barkley is actually in Bend right now. I wish she were at my house, but she's at her hotel and I'm going to see her tonight, which is such a bonus. Hip, hip, hooray. I get to be in the same room with you. And anyway, we're just so excited to go on this journey with you on Twin Chat and chat with you about a period in your life that we know was really hard and a struggle, but certainly made you this incredible woman that you are today. So thank you again for being with us. And why don't we start, of course, as we always do, with a twin story.
Well, Steph already stole my story, but I'll come back to that.
No way!
Yes, of course. So I have 2 stories, and one is sweeter than the other. But my first story is the day we met, and I was 8. We were all 8. And you 2 were with Marie Markham, and she was in the front, of course, and you were waving sticks that you had made into wands with bows and streamers and I don't even know what. And you were walking in front of a house that we were looking at to buy after my parents divorced, which my mother then bought because of you guys. And my mom introduced us and it was love at first sight. And I thought that you girls were the coolest and I wanted to be your friends. And for me, it was love at first sight. And my second story was when Kenan was very upset with us. And Steph and we were all living in Colorado Springs. And Steph and I thought it was a reasonable idea to jump in a van with some cute boys and go camping for the weekend in Aspen. And when we arrived in Aspen, we realized that that was probably not a great idea and that we were in danger, which we really weren't, but we decided to hitchhike home and it took all day and night. And we thought that Kenan and the rest of our girlfriends would be so happy when we got home and have a party with us. And they were furious with us, absolutely furious, and had called our parents and everyone was involved and we were in big trouble. But we had been through this, extreme experience and hitchhiked with several different people. And we thought that we were adventurous and brave and bold, and Kenan didn't think so.
And the funny thing was that was more dangerous than going camping with those boys from our college because they were harmless.
They were harmless. They were nice boys, but we were like, we're 2 girls and it's 4 or 5 boys. And we were like, we really shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say that the anger was really love, Barkley.
I know.
And I was only concerned about my 2 besties getting harmed. So we had to get our parents involved.
Yeah, it was a bad idea.
I mean, that was the day before cell phones. I mean, we were like,
Ah,
there was
right.
no email had just come out. We were like, oh, we're going to go to Aspen, and then, oh, we don't want to go. So we'll just hop on, put our thumbs out. We've heard people have done that before. Yeah.
We got back home and we were starving and so excited to be with our people.
I think we probably did have a party for you. Come on.
I know we did in the end.
After we made up, hugged and made up. Oh my goodness.
So Barkley, we were chatting prior to the show. We have so many things that we could talk about today. Being an Ironman, our childhood and struggles and successes that you've had, opening your stores and your experience with fashion and all of that. But today we really want to focus on your journey with anorexia, both physically and emotionally. And I think this will be really interesting to our viewers, some who maybe can relate to having an eating disorder, but also just about your story and what's really behind anorexia, because I think a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about it. So please tell us your story.
Well, it's interesting because I rarely talk about it. It only ever comes up, I feel like, with us, with other, lifelong close friends. And just recently, it's been coming up more and more, so I feel like it's an important topic that people care about, and it's becoming more relevant to a lot of people. But my story started probably in sixth grade, right around the time that I entered into puberty. And I was a competitive swimmer, and we had a scale on our pool deck, and our swim coach would weigh us. And it became a huge topic amongst my teammates and I. And I was always little and skinny, and I never worried about my weight. And then all of a sudden, it became this number that identified me. And I decided to become a vegetarian. And no one told me to be a vegetarian. I was an animal lover, but for me, it was more about managing my body and keeping my body pure. And so I was a crazy vegetarian. You can even use the same spatula. If there was meat there, you could not use it on my tofu. So I went all in with that. And then I don't know. It's like a slippery slope, and you baby step into it. And a lot of people think that it's a traumatic event that causes an eating disorder, or it's an environment that causes an eating disorder. And sometimes it is a traumatic event, but there's always, it's just not that simple. There's a genetic component, and there's the environmental component. And when you have all of those factors together and you have a triggering event, then it's the straw that breaks the camel's back. And so for me, I had this coach that I could not please, and I was a vegetarian, and I started running simultaneously. And I had a really out of control family life. And it was never about the food. It was about the role that the control over what I was eating played for me. And it really served me. And so instead of focusing on, the coach I couldn't control, and the stepfather that I couldn't control, and just the growing pressure, we grew up in a really type A, high achieving environment. Like we've talked about this, for thousands of hours over the years. We were all honor roll students. We were all state athletes, and like we all were exceptional, and that became the standard. And so when you combine my genetic predisposition and just the environment that was our peer group, and then my stress at home, you have the psychological, the environmental, and the genetic factors, and it's a perfect storm. And so I became anorexic, and I struggled with it really until I was 25 and I had Hayden. And you guys had to, deal with it for so many years. It's such a systematic problem for the people that are in your life as well. It's so hard on friendships and so hard on family members. And I was hospitalized a couple times, and I wasn't allowed to compete, and all I wanted to do was compete. And it really took having a baby and finally having this different role for my body, to finally appreciate my body and to not just view it as this tool to, control what I couldn't control. It finally served me in this beautiful way. And then from that point on, slowly I began to heal. But it was like a good 15 years of nonsense, getting there.
Well, and Barks, you mentioned Marie, right? Marie Markham, and we did a twin chat with her talking about her girl talks and
Mhm.
how important those are at that
Absolutely.
adolescent age. And I think we cannot underestimate what our generation went through and what the current generation and what future generations will go through, because the body, the female body, male bodies too, but since we're females and that's what we're talking about, um, what this change and this metamorphosis that we go through, and embracing that, because we fight it. And that's the essence of what Marie's talking about too. We fight this thing like, okay, we're gaining weight, our bodies are changing, we're getting curves, we're doing, and it's like it's a startling thing, because we don't we haven't been talking about it historically, and now the time now is to really like learn from that, right? So you can't change what happened to you in the past, right? So that's the life that you're like, okay, that made me who I am today. And who I am today is this woman who had anorexia,
Mhm.
and it doesn't define you, but it is part of your history, right? and and how that is, presently, like what the conversations you're having, that we're having now, the conversations that you have with your boys, the conversations that you have with your friends' daughters.
Mhm.
And and I have a daughter, granted she's 4, but those are conversations I want to have with her. When she says, "Mommy, do I look pretty?" I said, "You look beautiful on the inside and the out,
Mhm. Mhm.
and you are."
Smart and capable.
Yes, and you're creative and you're loving, and those are the qualities, right?
Mhm.
It's not just this external piece. And I know that that's, not what anorexia is about per se, but we have that body image thing that we, that's important to bring into this as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the thing about eating disorders is it isn't about food like people think that it is. And, everyone, the two of you included, tried to help me um, recover and make me aware of what I was doing to myself. But the truth is that my eating disorder served me, and it was like a saving grace to me. And it was you like it kills me because people try to take away, like my running was taken away from me for a period of time, and people try to punish people that are suffering from eating disorders, and it's the worst thing you can do. Like the best thing you can do is create, additional sources of passion for them and additional hobbies, and give them a sense of worth. And obviously there's the mental health piece, and so many people with eating disorders have an underlying, at least on some level, um, genetic component towards OCD. It's very, very, very prevalent. And with anorexia, a lot of kids, and like obviously this is a generalization and there's always an exception to the rule, but a lot of kids with out of control home lives, like I had, have a tendency towards anorexia, and more controlling environments lean towards bulimia. And it's, you can't fix that underlying structure, obviously. Like when you're a kid, when you're an adolescent, you cannot, other than removing the child from their environment, you cannot fix their home structure. You can, create awareness and go through extensive therapy. But the best thing you can do is try to almost distract someone away from their eating disorder. Give them a different sense of self-worth and identity and role in this world, And so for me, I grew up with this in this athletic environment. My parents were both athletes, and there was this focus on food. And although my parents didn't intend to have this outcome, they were focused on body image. And they never body shamed me. But I had a parent that body shamed siblings. And although my parents both had very high self-esteem in most areas of their lives, they were disparaging to themselves. And like, it's funny, like to this day, I say it all the time, like we would be working out and my dad would say, let's burn our fatty tissue. And it was hilarious. And I say it all the time, like, I just said it today, snowshoeing, let's burn our fatty tissue. Like, it's funny. But I see, like, now that we're almost middle age, we're not there yet. I see, we all talk about our body images in front of our daughters and our sons. And it's like death by 1,000 paper cuts, like slowly but surely, we are modeling whether or not we love ourselves and what the role of our body is in our lives. Is our body strong and we appreciate what it does for us? Is it beautiful and it gets us external attention and validation? Is it sick? Is it strong? Are we a hypochondriac? And it's just so, like, I love the movie The Help, where they, like you do with Coco stuff, and she's telling the little girl, you're strong and you're wise, and like, we have been so socialized to be beautiful, and that's our role, and we're so much more than our bodies as women. And we're taught, I think, whether it's straightforward by our mothers saying, just fit in, don't upset your boyfriend, like, we're taught to be made small rather than being large. And the way I view it is like, how big and bold can I be? Like, what is the biggest, best version of myself, instead of like, let me be the small, petite, pretty woman who, is here to build up the men around me. I don't want to be that person. And I know that I was raised to be that person, and that's not who I am. I refuse to do it.
Mm-hmm. And Barkley, I have to say, you are one of the strongest women I know, not only physically, but mentally. And I say physically because you are a freaking amazing Iron Man. And to think about what you go through in your training for months and months to prepare for these races, but it also is a mental too. And you are amazing. And Barkley, do you feel like that is a piece where you've channeled some of your energy into this piece of your life now?
For sure, because I was a swimmer from age 7 to 17. And somewhere there in the middle, I was roped into running by our friends. And it became my love and my passion. But in running, it's the, body image, body size is so over focused. And I didn't realize the impact it had on me. And although we didn't have coaches that were body shaming us, it definitely was part of my college experience. And which led to me dropping out of college after my freshman year. I was trying to recover from my eating disorder. And I wish someone would have just said, hey, you can redshirt and you can take a class or two, just take care of you. But instead, I was completely body shamed. And and there was an expectation, a standard to have an eating disorder. And here I was like fresh out of 2 hospitals. And I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to love myself. I am centered. I know what I need to do. I am beyond my eating disorder. And then I was basically forced back into it. And, fast forward, however, how many years, a lot of years. And I accidentally, obviously I was a runner all those years. I accidentally happened upon triathlon, and I went to my very first half Ironman, and there was a pro giving a speech before, like the day before the race, and she had cellulite on her legs. And I was like, what is happening? She's a professional athlete. She's one of the best in the world. And she has cellulite like all over her legs. And I mean, she was, very muscular. She was so strong, but I just was awestruck by it. I could not get over it. I remember it so vividly. And I was like, these are my people. This is my sport. And no one looked me up and down. And some of the biggest girls are the best athletes, and biggest meaning they have the most muscle, just healthy body image. And I just fell in love with it. And I know that, I love the idea of 3 sports in one with swimming, biking, running, but I know that the body image piece was a huge part of that.
And isn't that so fascinating, right? It took this, like, this visual, right? This visual of this woman to be like, oh, it doesn't have to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
And that your whole life, it was, you were kind of, it was shoved down your throat. You've got to be this way. You've got to be that way. And for success and for achievement. And now look at these doors that have opened for you in this world of Ironman, where you are, getting into Kona is people's dream, right? That takes, you have to qualify to get here. You have to, this is, and I remember you telling me, Barkley, like you're out in the open water, swimming in the ocean with these women who are trying to like drown you. And not really, but, but it's like this energy of these athletes who are embracing who they are, because the bigger and stronger you are, if you're going to compete for, how long does it take you to do an Ironman? Like 8 hours,
depending. Yeah.
10 or 11 hours, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully it takes that long. You have to be under 17 hours to be an Ironman, and 16 hours and 90 minutes is impressive as well. But yeah.
That would be me, finishing right at the deadline. I don't even think I could do it, but
Of course not.
Barkley. So Barks, where are you on your journey now with how you view your body and you see yourself? Like when you look in the mirror, do you embrace this beautiful being that you are? Because you are gorgeous.
Thank you. I learned it from watching you. I think that I remember being told over and over and over again that I would have an eating disorder for life, and I believe that up to a point. But I think that you can recover. And right now I have a few things that I do that I would consider them to be disordered. They're disordered eating. I have a few things that I do. But in general, I am also one of the healthiest people that I know. I'm the first girl to throw down a burger and a beer and, pizza. I really appreciate my body. I love my body. Like I have a relationship with my body. I don't always like the way that she looks, but I so value my body and appreciate my body. My mom asked me after my last Ironman what I think about, and what do you say to yourself when you're slaughtering yourself for that many hours? And I think that after all the work that I've done, I just have this huge appreciation for my body, and so I tell myself, thank you. And I have this whole gratitude checklist I go through. Um, and I'm in awe of what my body does for me. And it's, I see anorexic people, and although they're a little bit more deceptive, bulimic people, people with eating disorders don't think that anyone can see that they have an eating disorder. Like they think that they fooled everyone. And I remember feeling that way for years. And I'm pretty perceptive when someone has disordered eating, or even, I mean, obviously, then an eating disorder. And for me, I want to hug people. I don't judge them. Like so many people are judgmental. Like, I think that it's almost like they look down upon you like you have a drug addiction, or you've stolen a car, like you went to juvie, you were anorexic for years, like you went to juvie, and I have a much more compassionate view of the situation. And I want to hug people and be like, but what can your body do for you? And can I take you for a hike? Like maybe you would appreciate your body if I took you for a hike, and then you wouldn't want to starve it all day long. It's it's so sad to me that people can't be more appreciative of their bodies. You can dislike the way your body looks, or you can dislike your wrinkles, or maybe your hair color, but to find some acceptance and some appreciation is, I mean, it's like the key to everything. That is the release. That is the freedom. That is the release from the control. And I don't know if I even answered the question.
But Barkley, what I think is so important about what you just said is the thoughts that you're telling, you're saying to yourself, I am beautiful.
Mhm.
And then the emotion is gratitude, right? Gratitude that you're alive and able to do all of these amazing sports. And then like, so and I say this in my coaching all the time. So the thought creates the feeling, right? So the thought is, I'm beautiful, my body's beautiful. The feeling is gratitude. And then the action is, I'm going to go out and I'm going to run and I'm going to swim and I'm going to cycle. And then the result is you freaking do Ironman, I mean, how many Ironman? I don't even know how many you've done, but it's been a lot.
Well, I lost track along the way. But, another point too about Ironman is there are these women they're 50, 60, even 70 years old, and they're badasses. I mean, they're phenomenal women, and with this deep belief in themselves and this dedication, to their body and to their passion. And I also think that, especially in America, we are socialized to believe you're middle age now, it's time to slow down. You're middle age, now you need to gain weight. It's okay to gain weight. And I'm seeing more and more friends, throw in the towel and be like, well, I'm 50. I don't need to be fit anymore. And I like, on one hand, like I appreciate the compassion there, and like the surrender, and acceptance. But at the same time, like I also think it's okay to believe in your body and to keep doing fun things. And I don't think you have to give up just because you're 50. Yeah.
It's a state of mind.
Yeah, it is.
Let go of that. Yeah.
And both your mom and mine have modeled that to us. And we're so lucky to have mothers that appreciate their bodies and get out and move them.
Absolutely.
Well, and I think more than anything, Barkley, when women get to a certain age and they throw in the towel, it's not about, I want to lose 10 pounds. It's the release you get from the endorphins from working out, or for me, it's being out in nature and getting exercise. And that there's the social component of being with friends and doing that. There's the mental health we get. And it's more than I need to go out and go for a run or a walk or a cycle so that my body stays lean and trim. This is going to make me a better person more than anything. And it's too bad when you can't just say, I'm doing this because it makes me feel good, or I'm throwing in the towel because whatever, if I can't lose the 10 pounds anyway, so I may as well not do anything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's a huge part of that. And I think that a lot of people are like, you're obsessed with exercise. If you exercise every day, and obviously, like, I definitely, tilt towards obsession with exercise, but we're all supposed to move our bodies every day. We're not supposed to sit at a desk all day long. We're supposed to be fit, and I think it's okay. And I don't think you have to apologize for it.
No, no. So you guys, we have time for one last question. Kenan, last
Oh
question.
my goodness, of course. Well, we can't end without asking Barkley one thing that you do for self-care and maintaining well-being during your very busy life.
I light a lot of candles. That's super boring. Honestly, like, I mean, it's ridiculous, but I watch a lot of TV, like at night, that's how I check out. And, I don't apologize for it. Like, I don't have to do it every night, but I really enjoy watching TV, and I was asking one of my kids, what do you perceive that I do for self-care? And he said, you watch TV or you go hang out with a girlfriend and we're taken care of. And then you're like, peace out. I'm going with my girls.
So Barkley, I want to say one thing, and I think this is really important for our audience. Take this away from what Barkley just said. Stop apologizing for something you do that you may think is an indulgence that people might judge.
Yeah.
Like I say, like that's the first step at really being authentic in yourself. Is like, I mean, if we have to be like, oh, someone's going to judge me. I'm so glad you said I watch TV, and I'm happy about that because that's my joy.
Mm-hmm.
And hallelujah. And if your joy is to, have a bowl of ice cream, do it. Mm-hmm. If your joy is to that someone might think, oh, that's not a very good joy, like right. F it. This is your life, and no apologies. Please, people, stop apologizing.
Amen, sister.
Amen. So, Barkley, muchas gracias. Thank you so much for being here. We love you. And yes, you guys don't have too much fun without me. Send a photo.
We'll definitely send you a photo.
And we want to thank our audience for joining us. And please subscribe and turn on your notifications. We release new weekly episodes. You can find Twin Chat with S&K on our YouTube channel, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. You can also find us at Instagram at Rise Life Coach and on the World Wide Web at riselifecoach.com. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Barkley. See you soon.